What? Whatever it is, just start.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly Bean. Tonight I'm going to talk to you why we need to stop contaminating our waterways. In cities across America, trace concentrations of pharmaceuticals are moving into surface water, and from there into drinking water. Neither the steps in place to treat wastewater before it is discharged into waterways or drinking water before it gets into the tap are adequate to eliminate them entirely. An impact on the ecosystem is already apparent. Exposure risks for aquatic organisms are much larger than those for humans, says the EPA. Published studies have identified endocrine disruptions, reproductive effects, and renal deterioration in fish, among other damage. How do the drugs get into the water? People take pills. Their bodies absorb some of the medication, but the rest of it passes through and is flushed down the toilet. The wastewater is treated before it is discharged into the reservoirs, rivers, or lakes. Then some of the water is cleansed again at drinking water treatment plants and piped to consumers. But most treatments do not remove all drug residue. And while researchers do not yet understand the exact risks from decades of persistent exposure to random combinations of low-level pharmaceuticals, recent studies have gone virtually unnoticed by the general public, and they have found alarming effects on human cells and wildlife. And another issue is there's evidence that adding chlorine, a common process in conventional drinking water treatment plants, makes some pharmaceuticals more toxic. Numerous environmental studies document the presence of pharmaceuticals in surface water, groundwater, and soil, sediments, and marine waters. These studies predominantly conclude that pharmaceuticals are present wherever wastewater has been discharged. Conventional wastewater treatment systems were not designed to remove or destroy pharmaceuticals. No single treatment process will completely remove all the thousands of different pharmaceutical compounds. The presence of pharmaceuticals in the environment depends upon their individual chemical structure and the magnitude of their use. The scope of the emerging issue is undoubtedly far greater since many water utilities do not routinely test municipal drinking water for pharmaceuticals, either because they cannot afford to do so or because they are reluctant to venture into an area where research is limited and the federal government has not provided guidelines. Moreover, utilities that do test may not share the results with the public. There are no federal requirements mandating disclosure, although the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says it encourages utilities to do so. Traces of many pharmaceuticals are entering the drinking water of numerous American cities. That conclusion is based on a decade of scientific research and advances in methods to detect minute concentrations of chemicals in the water. The issue gained renewed attention in early March when the Associated Press publicized the results of its 5-month investigation. A vast array of pharmaceuticals, including antibiotics, anticonvulsants, mood stabilizers, and sex hormones, have been found in the drinking water supplies of at least 41 million Americans. An impact on the ecosystem is already apparent. Exposure risks for aquatic organisms are much larger than those for humans, says the EPA, noting that these organisms are exposed continually over many generations to the higher concentrations of pharmaceuticals that linger in surface water. Published studies that identified endocrine disruptions, reproductive effects, and renal deterioration in fish, among other damage. Also, pharmaceuticals in waterways are damaging wildlife across the nation and around the globe. Research shows, notably, male fish are being feminized, creating egg yolk proteins, a process usually restricted to females. Pharmaceuticals are also affecting sentinel species at the foundation of the pyramid of life, such as earthworms in the wild and zooplankton in the laboratory, studies showed. No one ever planned for fish to take birth control pills, but they are. As treated wastewater flows into rivers and streams every day, fish all over the world get a tiny dose of estrogen that's used in birth control pills. They also get a little sip of anticonvulsants, a nip of antidepressants, and a taste of hundreds of other drugs that we take to make our lives better. Every drug begins its life as a promise to fight disease or improve quality of life. It wends its way through the discovery process and clinical trials until it ends up in our bodies ready to do its job. Although estrogenic compounds may have the most dramatic effects on fish, they aren't the only pharmaceuticals that have been implicated in the pollution of aquatic environments. Laboratory studies have shown that the antidepressants can slow the development of fish and frogs. Anticonvulsants affect the emergence of mosquito-like insects that are a popular food source for certain fish. Researchers are in agreement that aquatic species of all types are being harmed by continuous exposure to water contaminated by pharmaceuticals. Many fish are experiencing reproductive problems as a result from exposure. Beyond having their sperm damaged, some fish are actually changing sexes. Males are becoming females, and females are becoming males from these exposures. Other water creatures are experiencing things like organ failure and the inability to grow. It makes a person ask how long until these effects start to hit humans, or have they already? There are many paths for pharmaceuticals to reach our water systems, with some releases being intentional and others unintentional. They enter our environment through human and animal excretion, improper disposal of drugs by households, and medical facilities and drug manufacturing processes. Risks to humans are not known, but can include resistance to antibiotics and the disruption of endocrine systems. Recent research shows that humans and other forms of life have windows of vulnerability, times when exposure to very small amounts of toxic chemicals can be harmful. A developing fetus, an infant, or a person with a compromised immune system would typically be at most risk. Immediate action could result in significant progress toward protecting people and the environment with the following: improving drug design, tightening FDA approval processes, improving pharmaceutical production processes, reducing unnecessary pharmaceutical use, and the disposal of pharmaceuticals more safely. On October 29th this year, it is Drug Take-Back Day. This day provides a venue for persons who want to dispose of unused and unwanted prescription drugs. You can log on to deadiversion.usdoj.gov, the Office of Diversion Control, to locate a drop-off site near you. While this will not totally eliminate the effects of contamination in our environment, it is a step in the right direction to doing a small part to protect our waterways. Thank you.
Very good.